Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of DM's Corner. In this video I'm going to go over what I did to prepare for episode 3 of the One Shot Wonders. This is our first video where our character is at a higher level, so I'm going to go over what I did to prepare for that. There are spoilers in this video. If you want to watch the episode before watching what I've done, go watch that and then come back here. Otherwise, you've been warned. Alright, let's jump right into it. So, episode 3. Our characters here, I have given them a few tips and ideas on what might be happening, titled Undead Rising. So we'll just go through my notes here real quick and then get into the different maps. So for this one, our big bad evil guy is going to be a vampire. This one's a little bit not as straightforward as our other big bads we've had before. This one's going to take a little bit of maneuvering and testing out the water with the players, and I'll show you how I'm going to attempt to do that. Again, we haven't played yet, so this is everything pre and what I'm expecting, and then we'll see what happens afterwards. So our vampires CR 13, so what I told my characters is that they're all members of the Hell Riders, and they know that they are going to be dealing with an undead problem. So I've given them the option and the ability to take items, powers, and everything to go handle undead things. And we'll see what they've come up with. They are still working on their characters right now. I can see it a little bit in our campaigns, but we'll see what they come up with. I think it's going to be interesting. The magic items I told them to get, you can see down here in my notes. One of them is going to get a very rare major, and then the other 3 are going to get a rare major. Then everyone's going to get one uncommon major. Then going to the very rare minors, I picked 2 of the characters for that. And then there's going to be 2 each for rare minor, 3 each for uncommon minor, 4 each for common minor. Most of your minors are going to be consumable type potions, things like that, while your major items are going to be your ones that affect stats and various things. Most of the players have picked the stuff that is in the Xanathar's Guide to Everything in the tables. There are a few that are out that Fizban's Treasury of Dragons doesn't have that stuff in those tables yet, and I think a few of the characters have picked items from there, but we will see. So that's kind of the breakdown on magic items I'm letting them start with at level 13. Technically, it's actually a little less than what you would expect, but if you are giving out magic items throughout a campaign, you would expect your characters to use some of those magic items, especially the consumables, and they would get things that they no longer use anymore. So even though I'm under the number Xanathar's gets, because it's about 50 right at level 10, Xanathar says to give out about 100 items in a campaign. Right now, I think I totaled up as around 43 or something like that. So it's a little bit less, and we'll see how they deal with that. But I've got my start set up, and then what I'm going to do for this is, because it's a vampire, and vampires are very good for long-term campaigns when you can work the vampire in. Those of you that play Curse of Strahd, he makes an appearance at the beginning, toys with the players a bit, and then they have to deal with him later. Since I'm doing this in a one-shot, this is going to be a little bit harder to do. So what I've decided is the players are actually going to meet an NPC, and the NPC is actually going to be the vampire. When I did that, I was like, okay, probably they're going for undead, so they're probably going to have a paladin who can detect good and evil, various things. How am I going to have the vampire hide himself? So what I did is later on, they're going to get a clue, but I saw Arcanist's magic aura. So the vampire has some minions working for him that are getting this spell ready to hide his true nature. So every day he goes in, his minions cast this on him, and he is able to hide his allegiance, hide who he is, and hopefully be able to hang out with the PCs without being noticed, so he can do some things, which I'll go over here in a moment. But what we're going to start on is we're going to start with the players thinking they're going to help a vineyard owner who has stumbled upon an undead problem in his fields. And when they see this vineyard owner, who is our vampire, he is going to fall down into this room here, where there is going to be vampires, werewolves, and zombie all-out melee fight. So the players are going to have to jump in here, save. This is our Talon Nash. This is our vampire slash vineyard owner. So they will come in here, deal with all of these, and then they'll be able to talk to him, and he will tell them what's going on. Again, all of it is a ruse to get people in here to either be his servants, turn into vampire spawn, or just be consumed. So when they get here, so this is my dungeon that I have set up. When you do these dungeons, kind of like the last episode in the sewers, you don't always know where your characters are going to go. So here they've got four different doors to choose from. This side is going to be a little bit blocked, so I don't think that it's going to be hard for them to go that way, but they've got a door here, and a door here. Now what I've given is this door right down here on the bottom left leads to this room, where there's a bunch of cultists that are chanting and doing some summoning ritual for this big demon that's going to pop out of this door. This is the same door we were just looking at in the bottom left of the last map. So I was able to put an audio file of some creepy chanting and everything that the players will be able to hear when they bring their tokens up here to this room. So that's going to maybe lead them in there, maybe steer them away from it, I'm not sure. But for now, let's say they go into that room, see if they try to be quiet, which I assume they will. They'll try and sneak in here. They've got the cult. The cultist who's kind of leading everything. Now here what we're doing is whenever combat starts, the ritual or whatever it is, summoning they're trying to do will be complete. So they'll get around here, and then I'm going to have this Glabrezu burst through the doors, and they're going to have to deal with fighting this demon thing. Also, down here in the crowd, I'm going to give them an option and see what they do. These are wannabe cultists, I'll tell them. They're going to start yelling, but they're not really combatants. But what I've done is I've hidden a succubus down here who is going to be waiting, and when the players, depending on what they do with this group, if they get in and kind of ignore them, then the succubus will be able to hopefully get off a charm effect and take out the players from a place of advantage before they realize what's going on. But we will see what happens. This whole area I'm going to have to play by ear. The next room down here to the bottom, down here in this southern room, this is one of those rooms where you've seen in my previous episodes I try to put in traps and things. Now my players expect it. So here is a blank room where I don't have anything planned. If something sounds good and my players try to create something that's there, I might roll with it. Otherwise, this is going to be just a blank room, old altar with some doors on either side. And here, at a minimum, I'm at least going to have our undercover vampire attempt to start feeling out his targets. Throw a charm on the lowest wisdom character. And we will do that there, because then he'll get a chance to escape either through any of these doors off to the sides and kind of go from there. So sometimes a room is just a room, and that's what we're doing there. So this door on the right leads us back to the bottom of the first map that our players entered on. So moving over here to our southwest, here's kind of where I'm setting up the main bad guy scene, because I've got my vampire token set off here, so he's ready to go. And then I've got a hidden vampire spawning ghost in these coffins. Now through this door here to the north of this map is where our vampire's main coffin is. This door is going to be locked, and they are not going to be able to get through it until the appropriate time. If the players approach that door and they still have our vampire with them, he's going to come out and he's going to deal with the players. What we will do is have them all fight, and these guys are going to, hopefully the ghost might be able to possess somebody, and then get in and start. They're gonna have to deal with their own party members in that regard. The vampire spawn just kind of fodder to keep everything off to the side while the vampire calls in his various allies, the bats, and tries to get in some bites and controls, things like that. But this is where the main area is going to take place for the main fight. So now going back to our room everyone came into, going off to the north, we get to our northeast corner of the map. Up here, so here's the top of the room they came in on, so they might try and crawl over the table there, come down to the left. Either way here, this is a secret door that I don't really expect the players to find. Again, I don't have anything planned there, but if they roll a 20 and they find something, then we'll roll with it and see what happens. Down here, though, the players have a necromancer. This is the room where the necromancer is writing the Arcanist's aura spell that is being cast on the vampire each day to hide who he is. So if the players come in here, they will see all of these scrolls out for this same spell that's being cast. If any of them are intelligent enough, they might be able to figure it out and might start questioning our undercover vampire, and again, he'll have a place to escape to. And actually, this room here, I'll be able to also throw in maybe some kind of secret room and that the vampire can escape to. We'll just kind of take it from there. And that brings us to our final room where the vampire's main coffin is. So once the players kill him, if they manage to kill him, I'm going to have him turn into that mist form and come back to this room. And then in this instance, because the nature of this campaign where the players are going to die and are supposed to die, the HP of this coffin is a little less. So if they destroy it before the vampire gets back, that's not going to happen in this. If I was running a full campaign, I would make sure this had a set AC with HP so it could be destroyed, and the vampire's body is going to come back here. So what's going to happen in this case, in this specific scenario, the vampire mist, if it gets to that point, will come back to the coffin, will instantly come back when those black tentacles come back, and we'll have a super undead vampire, if you will, who will come back and then murder all the players and have our ending for what this campaign is. But under general circumstances, the players would be able to burst their way in here, destroy this coffin, and then our vampire in his vampire mist would be screwed. But that is the overall campaign here. You can tell here I've got a little less of a flow chart, of a flow plan than I normally do. This is going to be a little bit more wishy-washy feeling what's going to happen, because a lot of it's going to depend on how many of the players the vampire could get charmed before he's discovered. So we'll see where they end up. In this one, the initial encounter is a medium encounter. In there, that is where the exploration will then start to come, and we will. You can see here on my notes, I've got this ready to send to the players, because I'm going to have the vampires start to try and assess the group and sending out some charms. So I'm going to secretly send out these wisdom saving throws to the players. I've got it already typed out, what happens if they fail and what happens if they succeed. In this case, if they fail, they're going to be charmed by Nash, and they're going to have to listen to him. Now, if they succeed in that saving throw on the charm, then I'm going to have them make a perception check. And I'm going to do that as an opposed check for Nash, and we'll see what happens. But if they fail it, then they're going to know some kind of spell was triggered, but they're not sure where it's from. And if they succeed, they'll see that Nash had to cast the spell on them. So it could be they get really lucky and they notice it on the first try, and I'm going to have to get that vampire out of there quick, and they'll deal with him later. Or they might fail, and that'll make the final fight quite interesting. But moving on here, so the Necromancer Vampire Spawn, that's also a medium encounter. The third encounter with the Cult Fanatic, the Glabrezu, and the Incubus, believe it or not, is still just a medium encounter for the players. And then finally, the Vampire Spawn, and Ghost is a deadly encounter. So we will get them all together and see what happens. Again, this adventure is not as straightforward as the ones we've done before. We're still in a dungeon crawler, but there's going to be a lot of nimbleness needed on the DM's part on how we're going to do all this. So, I hope you join us for episode 3, and if you have any ideas on how you would run a vampire, if you were just doing one 3 to 4 hour adventure, let me know below in the comments, and I'm happy to talk about it. See you next time.